You're watching the Sports and Political channel of LB. If you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Let's get down to business. All right. Today is the first day of the NBA playoffs. We have gotten through the nonsense of the play-in game. And now we have officially started the NBA playoffs. There are 4 game ones today. We kick things off with the Brooklyn Nets, the number 6 seed, going to Philadelphia, play the 3 seed Sixers. The Atlanta Hawks, 7 seed, playing the 2 seed Boston Celtics. Third game will be the 5-4 matchup between the number 5 Knicks and the 4 Cavs, and the nightcap will be the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champions of the world, the Golden State Warriors, and they will take on the surprising, upstart, making me look like a savant, 3 seed Sacramento Kings. And I have a special guest with me today, Too Raw for TV. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, let's just get down to business. So this first game here, Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia, what do you expect today? Now, given the history of, Joel Embiid and James Harden, I'm like, you and I, we've talked about this, about these two individuals. We know about Doc Rivers and all that, right? And you got a Brooklyn Nets team that after the trade for KD and Kyrie, we thought they was going to be on a free fall, but Jacque Vaughn found a way to right the ship. So what do you see at this matchup?
Well, of course, there's no Ben Simmons. He's pretty much gone. Wasn't a factor anyway. I mean, I see Brooklyn putting up a good fight, a better than anticipated fight against Philly. I wouldn't be surprised if they may win a game. I don't know, man. It's difficult for me to give a spread. I think Philly gonna win the series. But I think Jacque Vaughn is a really good coach. He's been able to make the most of this young team, this youth movement that's hit the Nets. Got guys playing exceptionally well. And like you said, I thought after that trade that this Nets team was going to really fall apart, but that didn't happen. As far as Philly is concerned, I don't see an answer that the Nets have for Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to be the deciding factor in this series, the decisive deciding factor in this series. I wouldn't be surprised if he averaged if these games are even remotely close, I don't see him averaging less than 35 a game. James Harden is always iffy, but it may not matter in this series. It's going to be pretty lopsided. I mean, I give the Nets maybe one game, just out of heart. Maybe they might get a game at home, but it's potential. It's a possibility that they might get swept. And I just don't. I mean, what I'm saying? This is just one of those typical matchups where one team is just, to me, very overmatched. And at the end of the day, I think Joel Embiid, even though we get on him a lot, I think he's motivated to show that this is going to be a different year for him. In the past, the Joel Embiid in the regular season looked like a different guy from the Joel Embiid during the postseason. You know what I'm saying? He'd be averaging 30, 33, 29 in the regular season, but then in the playoffs, he's down to 24, 25 a game, getting gassed during the 4 quarters, letting the defense off, shooting an abundance of threes, which is when you consider what Joel Embiid is capable of doing, he's letting the defense off just doing that. So, James Harden has played better. So, yeah, I see. I would go ahead and say 4-0 Sixers for this series.
I agree with everything you said too, Raw. I do definitely agree that the Brooklyn Nets are overmatched. They have no answers for Joel Embiid. I think a guy like Nick Claxton will get in foul trouble trying to defend him. And then what other options they got down there, right?
None.
For the Brooklyn Nets to even make this remotely competitive, right? I know Mikal Bridges he's have to really turn it up another notch offensively, right?
Right.
He's made progress since he got traded from Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
But he really need to take it up another notch offensively and all that. Now, will that compromise his defensive prowess? Because you got to think, Jacques Vaughn is going to put Mikal Bridges on James Harden, right?
Right.
And salute to everybody in the building, man. We see y'all in here. Hit that like button and make sure y'all donate to my channel. $ Freeway 95 US in the Cash App. And Too Raw, can you put your Cash App in the comment section and whatever like that? You know what I'm saying? Nathan, what's up, y'all? Yeah, make sure you hit that like button and all that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, outside of that, and Philly just got more firepower than Brooklyn do, right?
Right.
Tyrese Maxey. If James Harden gets locked out by Mikal Bridges, you got Tyrese Maxey, you got Tobias Harris, right, to a lesser degree. But the only time we see Tobias Harris really go off is when either when Joel Embiid or James Harden is out. But he's very capable scorer of the basketball. I just feel that then, like I said, this got way too much firepower. 4-0 sweep. They might get a game, if Cam Thomas has an outlier performance at home or whatever like that, right? But other than that, really nothing else to break down here. We fully expect Philadelphia to take care of business, right? Next matchup, Atlanta Hawks. They beat the Miami Heat. They get the 7th seed. They get the pleasure of going to Boston and playing the Celtics, right?
You said Miami Heat?
No, the Atlanta Hawks beat the Miami Heat.
Okay. I was like, whoa, I thought they beat the Bull. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Atlanta Hawks. Okay.
Yeah, so see, what was that? Oh yeah, so Atlanta, a team has, pretty much was expected to be a top 3 team in the East coming into the season. Instead, there's a whole bunch of drama behind Trae Young. There was some front office turmoil that resulted in the president of basketball operations being removed. Also resulted in Nate McMillan getting fired. Also, they brought in Quinn Snyder. Probably like a week or two after they fired, probably like a week after they fired Nick McMillan, they brought in Quinn Snyder. They was able to, withstand other teams, get to the 7-8 matchup with the Heat. They beat the Heat. And that was even more impressive considering that the Heat owned the Hawks all year. So now they got the 7th seed. They go to Boston. They play a Celtics team that for much of the year they were the number 1 team. And they've had some slippage throughout the latter part of the All-Star break. After the All-Star break, they had some slippage here and there, battling injuries, inconsistent play, things of that nature. And they're now the number 2 seed in the East. So what do you see out of this matchup, Too Raw?
I was just checking something. I was checking to see if Robert Williams III was healthy. Uh, um, I'm not going to say this series is as lopsided, but I don't see obviously Boston losing this series. I could see, depending upon what Celtic team we see. You know, are we going to see more of the Celtic team we saw at the beginning of this year going to the playoffs, or are we going to see the Celtic team that's been a lot more sloppy and a little bit more inconsistent the last 3.5 months of the season?
Mm-hmm.
If we see more of this inconsistent consistency, or consistent inconsistency, I guess I should say, then I could possibly even see this series going 6 games, which is kind of a stretch for a 2-7 series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one thing that I'm a little concerned about with Boston is Jaylen Brown with that hand injury he has. It not necessarily the severity of the injury. He's going to be able to go out there and play, but any type of injury to your shooting hand can obviously affect your offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering how that's going to affect him throughout this playoffs. Like, will there be a situation where he had to have stitches? Well, with him constantly shooting, touching, grabbing, his hand could get tangled up in a jersey. Like, is there anything that could re-injure that hand? I'm concerned about that. With as far as Boston is concerned, Boston is known for their deepness. I know that Quinn Snyder has the Hawks playing a little bit faster,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing one thing that Atlanta has going for them is that they can match Boston's interior as far as rebounding and size to a great degree, but I don't like Atlanta's the way they run their offense. I don't. By that I mean I I just don't like the way that they have these Trae Young and what's the other guy named DeJounte Murray,
DeJounte Murray, that's the guy. That's the
right,
guy they acquired in
right from
San
San Antonio, right. Historically, man, from whenever I watched Trae Young go up against good defenses or great defenses, they can bully him, they can push him around,
Mm-hmm.
they can make it difficult for him. I don't see Trae Young having a strong series. He might have a one good game, but I think he's going to struggle. He doesn't give you much on anything as far as defense is concerned. For them to have a shot, to me, man, Atlanta's going to have to really be sort of blazing offensively. They're going to have to push the pace against Boston. And even with that, I think Boston can match that. I just think Boston is superior as far as a team overall defensively. Um, I don't know, man. I see Boston winning this series possibly 4-1, maybe 4-2. Because Atlanta still has a lot of different things going on as far as, like this year, they have not been a great defensive team. So at the end of the day, I think that's going to catch up with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be probably 4-2, 4-1 Boston when everything's said and done.
Oh, okay. For me, I'm right there along with you. Um, I think they need to find a way to get John Collins more involved in the offense. Uh, I
Yeah,
think,
because he's become more of a spot up shooter, hasn't he?
yeah, he's pretty much been phased out with the acquisition of DeJounte Murray, another guy who commands the basketball, right?
Right.
So we saw that he took the hit as far as like his usage go, right?
Right. Right.
And then when you throw in Bogdan Bogdanovic, another guy, the guy that they acquired from the Sacramento Kings, that's the
Mm-hmm.
guy they did a signing trade for, and that's how Kevin Huerter ends up in Sacramento, right?
Right.
So it's a weird dynamic. It looks like a case where Trae Young and DeJounte Murray playing this thing of your turn, my turn, your turn, my
Yeah,
turn.
I don't like. I just don't like that basketball in playoffs, man. It just, that dynamic don't. It usually only goes but so far. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It may work against a bad team, or I mean, it may work against, you know, defensively. What am I trying to say? It may work against a team that's not that great defensively, but when you start playing against a team that can really affect you as far as with pressure, it's too simple. We saw that last year with how Boston systematically destroyed the Brooklyn, because that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, I don't know. I don't see the Atlanta. It's possible. It's possible if Boston is like how they were, they could get swept. If they're playing at the level they played at the beginning of the year, Atlanta could get swept. But I think since they've been a little bit more inconsistent, I give Atlanta a couple of games, but I don't think it's going to be that competitive a series.
Yeah, I think Boston's gonna win this series going away. Also, I mean, it's just a matter for Boston to be focused, and they should be focused considering that they were this team just came off an NBA Finals appearance last year.
Right.
You got to think at some point the window is going to be closing on them as far as like trying to get this championship.
Hey, can I share this? Because I just saw this. I wasn't aware of this. Do you see this article? Speaking of Boston, it says that Grant Williams is projected to sign an offer sheet elsewhere after this season.
I can see why he's doing that. I'm not really surprised by that. This is the guy that's been underutilized by them, in my opinion.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But they're just too deep. I mean, who is Grant Williams going to play ahead of? He's obviously not playing ahead of Tatum, right?
No.
You got Al Horford there. You got Robert Williams there whenever he decides to play when he's not hurt.
Right.
So when you got Tatum, you got Al Horford,
Yeah.
who's going to retire after this year.
Right.
Whether or not they win the championship, but if they do win the championship, he's really going to retire.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Either he's gonna retire this year, or he might give it one more year, and that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Robert Williams, who when he's not injured, he's soaking up minutes. So where does that leave room for Grant Williams to get playing time? It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? You can see there's a little bit of a log jam in the front court or whatever like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
it's been working for him, but like you said, he may want goes elsewhere to get more playing time.
Yeah, but also that could backfire too, because that happened to Thomas Bryant, right? Thomas Bryant wanted to seek playing time. I demanded to be traded from the Lakers. Okay, we'll just trade you to the Denver Nuggets, and then you give it less playing time.
Yeah, got even less playing time. He was better off playing the Lakers.
Yeah, because you're obviously not playing ahead of Jokic, you know what I'm saying? But anyway.
They're like, okay, you ungrateful bastard. We'll fix you.
We'll honor your trade request, and we're gonna trade you to the Nuggets. What? Huh? I didn't want that trade. Well, too bad. But anyway, back to the lecture at hand. Yeah, I don't. They ain't got no answer. So I can see DeJounte going on. Okay, so if they stick DeJounte on Jason Tatum, that means Jaylen Brown's going to go nuclear. If they stick DeJounte on Jaylen Brown, then Jason Tatum's going to go nuclear. They just don't have an answer for either one of those guys, right? Because
Yeah.
there's only one guy, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So whoever they stick DeJounte on, the other guy is going to go off, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Jason Tatum. Not saying that Jaylen Brown ain't gonna get his numbers because we know Jaylen Brown's a dynamic offensive player as well. I think
Right.
Jaylen Brown is taking leaps and bounds. He's made this astronomical leap. I was totally wrong about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's a beast, man. He's a beast,
Yeah.
and he's fearless. I like that. I like that about him. I like.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Do
Uh-huh.
you think it's legitimate that he may consider leaving Boston, or are these just rumors that's just made up by the media to just for gossip?
Well, I know how the media like to, drum up drama just for this divide and conquer tactic dynamic, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I do believe there's some truth to this, right?
Right.
And look, and I never known Jaylen Brown to come out and lie about some shit,
Right.
right? So I think Jaylen Brown really means what he says. I think if he not getting the money he looking for, he gone.
Yeah.
And it all hinges on whether or not he's all NBA. Remember, there's a clause in his contract where if he's all NBA, he gets like $100 million
Mm-hmm.
on top of, so he could be looking at a super max.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
not worth it. I think he's definitely worth the super max. He's been amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, so beat on this game enough. Boston will whoop that ass. Send the Hawks packing. Next game. Now this one I think is the most likely series going to go 7 games. I think this series right here is the one that's going to most likely go 7 games, in which you have the New York Knicks playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there's some injury questions about Julius Randle, if I'm not mistaken, but that's something to be on the lookout for, right? He's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
If it's nothing serious, I think he's going to play today. If it's nothing serious, right?
Right.
This little knick-knack that if he's like 80%, I think he's going to play.
Is there anything going on with Donovan Mitchell? Because I
Not that
saw some.
not that
Okay. Okay. I thought I saw some article. Maybe it was clickbait. It said something about will the Cavs have to go without Donovan Mitchell or something? Maybe it was just a clickbait article.
Yeah, it might be. So
Yeah.
this is a very interesting series to say the least. You got a Cavs team that's really deep, right? You got outside of Donovan Mitchell, who was traded there from the Jazz. For bevy players, Colin Sexton, Laurie Markkinen, Jordan, not Jordan Clark, he was already there, but and other players, right? And picks it, but there were the two main pieces: Colin Sexton and Laurie Markkinen. So you got that, Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, two twins, the young twin towers down there. Cleveland's bench is not all that, to say the least, but they make it work with what they have.
Right.
Then New York, Jalen Brunson, a guy I talked about in a previous video, where when he was acquired from the Dallas Mavericks. Now the Knicks end up getting docked for tampering in light of that, but Jalen Brunson proved me wrong because I thought when he got down just another B+ player, he ain't no need of moving not like that. Boy,
Yeah.
was I proven wrong on that one. Boy,
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brunson
I
been
was too.
Jalen Brunson been a beast, boy. Oh my God, right?
And now we really see it because we look at Dallas now.
Yeah, yep. Gee, Dallas, man, they wish they could have had that one back, boy. I tell you, but Yeah, the Knicks, man. Coming to the season, there was questions about whether or not Tom Thibodeau was going to keep his job. There was questions about Julius Randle, if he was going to bounce back from the year he had before, in which he was actually booing the crowd. There was a game against the Boston Celtics. He did that. So yeah, the Knicks end up becoming the 5th seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing really good defense, scrappy team. They'll always be in the game with you know how Tom Thibodeau preaches defense and all that, right? If
Right.
you're playing defense, you're not taking the court at all, right? So, where do you see out this matchup? Because I got this thing going 7.
This is a hard one.
Yeah, right.
Ooh-wee. I'm just thinking, man. Maybe you gotta come back to me. What's your thoughts? I'm gonna think about this one. I gotta look at some of the matchups. I gotta really think about this one. What do you think?
Now, from what I saw with the Knicks, right?
Right.
As good as the defense is, right? But if you really peel back the onion, one thing I noticed this year, they always had a problem with wings who can create their own shot. If you say like a point guard or a primary ball handler that's on the wing who can create his own offense and create offense for others, they all tend to have problems with those individuals. And in this matchup, they're going to have a problem with Donovan Mitchell. Now, look, nothing against Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quigley or whoever, right? But they can't stop Donovan Mitchell, okay? They can't.
Aren't they the same team that Luka had that 60-20-20 game on?
Yes.
Yeah. I see your point.
That's an insane stat line, by the way.
Yeah, it was. That was crazy. I'm just trying to look at some stuff here. That's a good point. One thing I see that the Knicks have going for them is that they have some guys like Emmanuel Quigley, Cam Reddish,
Trash.
Yeah. But they have some guys.
Oh, hold on. Cam Reddish got traded to Portland.
Oh, that's right. He's not on that team no more. You're right. I forgot about that.
They got Josh Hart though. That's what we forgot. We forgot they acquired Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. Okay. But I know Emmanuel Quigley is a guy that he's capable of going off. I know.
Hey, Two-Raw, real quick. You think they stick Josh Hart on Donovan Mitchell?
They could. I mean, they could do that. They might do that. But would that really slow? I mean, would that really slow him down?
I mean, a little bit, but not to the point where Donovan Mitchell's getting shut down.
Right. Yeah, this is a hard series to really try to figure out, man.
Right. Hey, Josh Johnson, what's good with you, man? I'm sorry you going through some stuff, man. I hope everything works out for you, bro. But thank you for coming in. Yeah, man, this is a tough series, bro. All right, so I got the Cavs winning, or you got the Knicks winning? I think if the Knicks steal a game in Cleveland, I think the Knicks can win the series if they can steal a game in Cleveland?
I really don't have an idea with this series. I really don't. I honestly don't. I mean, you can make an argument. See, the Cavs got a weak bench too, and
Mm-hmm.
it may just come down. This series may come down like to it. May be one of those series where who gets. It may be one of those series that come down like to the last few possessions in several games.
Mm-hmm.
It may be one of those series like who gets key turnovers, who makes key buckets for them down the stretch. And like you said, this could be a series where a Donovan Mitchell could be the difference maker, or Jalen Brunson,
Mm-hmm.
or a Julius Randle. It's just difficult. Yeah, I see what you're saying now, man. Like, I really don't know who's going to win this series. It's going to come down to maybe who wins the four quarters. Who wins the four quarters down the stretch of these games? Which team who gets the 50-50? Well, that's more like the old NBA. But let me see something here. Just checking out some stats, some team stats.
If Gallinari come back for game one, he probably will. If he does, he's going to be on the minutes restriction, so he's not going to be a factor. Considering that he ain't play all year.
Come on for Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think at this stage, he could actually be a liability. I'm not saying he's a liability as a player, but you don't want to just reintroduce somebody that ain't play all year and put them out there when you already got what's been working for you. Right. That's the dude you can see slowly being throughout the playoffs. Maybe you slowly indoctrinate them into a game, couple of minutes here, there. Maybe when the game has already been decided, give them some playing time, give them some, get him acclimated to playing basketball again. Oh no, but I was checking to see which one of these teams is the better 3-point shooting team. I think it's Cleveland.
Yeah, I think it's Cleveland.
Yeah, it's Cleveland. So, yeah, man, it just may come down to who makes the clutch shots down the end, big defensive plays, and unfortunately in today's NBA is often who wins the 3-point battle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to win this series. I call it toss-up.
You call it toss-up?
Yeah.
I said the Knicks win in 7 games.
Okay.
That's what I got. All right. Let's get to the main event of the evening. We have the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champion Golden State Warriors. After the topsy-turvy season they had, right, where they couldn't win a freaking game on the road for crying out loud, right? I think they finished like 10 or 11 wins all year.
It was 11. I was saying 10 and 31, but I forgot the last game was a road game. Too.
Yeah, Portland. Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But they had to play that game to keep the Lakers from overtaking them for the 6th spot. So anyway, they got the play-in scenario, and they're gonna take on a team that when the season began, I was the only one. I was the only one when it was Cap, when it was LB, you know what you talk about. It was when it was LB, you don't know nothing but basketball. Why you talk about basketball, LB? Right? I called it before the season began that the Sacramento Kings were going to make the playoffs. Now, I anticipate them being this good. But, all in all, the upstart Sacramento Kings, who's making their first playoff appearance since 2005 to 2006 season, they're going to be at home. Now, there's some questions here, right? Will Golden
Mhm.
State continue their road, their inability to win games on the road? Are they going to suddenly find this magic touch and start beating up on teams and all that? For the Sacramento Kings, is the spotlight too bright for them right now? What about old chocolate milk the hair having ass Mike Brown, right? Because, Mike Brown was the lead assistant at Golden State last year when they won the championship. And this year, he's with the Sacramento Kings. So, with all that drama that I built up, what do you see out this series too, Raw?
This could also, this series could go two ways. It could go two ways. If we're underestimating, and I think the media is underestimating Sacramento because I know they don't have experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes not having experience and when you don't have that pressure on you, like even though they're the third seed, a lot of people are anticipating them losing because they're a bunch of young upstarts. But then if you don't have that pressure on you, sometimes you can go out there willy-nilly, not feeling really any type of burden. Oh, we got to go out here and win. We got all these expectations. They could go out there and, put the clamps to the Warriors. Not put the clamps like defensively, but you know what I'm saying? They could really pulverize this team.
Mm-hmm.
And because we know the Warriors do have problems when they're on the road. Now, I don't know if they're just going to flip this switch and all of a sudden be the Warriors from last year. I don't see that. And even the last two victories, wasn't it against the Houston Rockets and a depleted Trailblazers team?
Yeah, that was the Trailblazers team that pretty much waved the white flag on the season.
Right.
Not
right.
that they were very good to begin with, but still.
Right. So I don't put too much stock into those victories. I think that the Warriors' road woes are going to continue. I think they're going to play better. I think they're going to put up more effort initially and on the road, like in certain games, but I don't think they're going to keep it up. And I'm going to tell you something else that I believe from just observing the Warriors in the games that I've seen this year. Steph Curry, offensively, he's still a phenomenal player, but I saw him take a big step back defensively this year compared to last year.
But really though, he's never been really a good defender though.
No. He's never been a good defender, but his effort was improving. His effort, like he would be putting in more effort on the defensive end. Like getting in his defensive stance, actually trying to play defense. This year, I don't see that, and that's probably why he's shooting better. Because he's not putting as much effort on the defensive side of the basketball. But his defense has been pretty bad this year compared to the last few years where he's been like, I can explain it. He's been average or adequate. Now he's like, to me, when I seen him reverting back to being terrible, but nobody really talks about it. And, they're getting older, bro. I mean, let's be honest. This Warriors team has a lot of wear and tear on them. They've been to the finals 5 times. No. I take that back. They've been to the finals, 6 times?
6 times.
Yeah, 6 times. And they've had these other long playoff runs. That takes a toll on these guys. Curry's 35 now. Clay's banged up. I mean, he's played better. But I noticed with Clay still, when he's going up against a team that is a little bit better defensively, and he doesn't get those easier looks, he can struggle. They're just an older team, man. And at the end of the day,
here's another question. I got a question for you, right?
Right.
Do you think that they deployed the same strategy that they did last year with putting Jordan Poole in the starting lineup?
Should they do that? I think they should. I do.
Curry come off the bench?
Yep. I think they should feature now. Wiggins is just coming back, so I don't know about doing that with Wiggins now. But I think they need to feature their younger players more and gradually, I mean, gradually make a youth movement. Like I think that's what's wrong with them now. I think they're featuring way too much of the older players, and I think they rely too much on Steph Curry. I do. I think they rely too much on Steph Curry, and that's it worked for them for a while, but the Warriors' offense is starting to become a little bit too predictable. Remember the championship years? Yeah, they were the Splash Brothers, but they weren't an ISO heavy team. And Steve Kerr now has these guys playing more ISO, like, even with Poole, Curry it's too much ISO sometimes with these dudes, and that makes them more predictable. And when they go up against better defensive teams, it's easier to stop it, and they don't have the same ball movement. So I really kind of see this series going kind of deep, man. I can see it going 6 games. I want to give it to the Warriors because they're actually second in the NBA in scoring. They actually average 119 points a game. The Kings average 120, 121.
Yep.
Right. But the Warriors do have that championship experience. So even though they're the 6th seed, this should be a very entertaining series offensively. I just think that the Warriors have their experience is going to get them through this, but at the same time, it's a possibility that Sacramento may just be like, can I curse? Or you want me to?
Man, let freedom ring.
Okay. Sacramento may be like, man, fuck this. This is our time. We're not getting we're not getting no praise. We ain't getting no respect. That could be motivating them too. And what better way to get respect than to knock off the defending champions in the first round?
Yep.
Plus, they got Mike Brown.
Yep, who was there last year, so he knows all their tendencies and traits and stuff.
Right. And Steve Kerr, I'm sorry, he can't get out coached and outmaneuvered. So De'Aaron Fox, he's clutch. It could go either way, man. My instincts is telling me the Warriors are going to win in 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors get upset, if that makes any sense.
Yep. And then there's another component to this as well that we talk about, right? The Golden State Warriors can be had on the interior.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yes, Domantas Sabonis could be big in this series. The Warriors are weak up front, size-wise, and as far as having an interior scoring presence.
Yep. So, with that being said, this could be a very entertaining series. I expect this to be a very high-scoring series. I think the opening line might be like 238, 239. Shit, expect that shit to go. I'm taking the higher on that one. If you're doing any kind of sports betting, take the over on that one.
Yeah.
Because this series is going to be a track meet. There'll be a lot of 3-point shooting. There's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I don't think neither team is going to play any defense in this one. So, but yeah, I said the Kings will make the playoffs and all that, and depending on the matchup. You know what? I'm gonna go Sacramento on the upset, bro. I think Sacramento can beat them in 7.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, man. I know how you feel. Like, a part of me wants to.
Because remember, Sacramento. Hey, Too Raw. I'm sorry to cut you off, Too Raw.
No, go ahead.
Remember, while Golden State's been horrific on the road, Sacramento's been just as good at home.
Right.
Sacramento I think they're like 34 really good at home.
I think they're 34-7.
Yeah, 34, like 30. Let's see, they play 41 games, so yeah, it'd be 34-7 at home. They ain't lost 7. Yeah, only lost 7 games all year at home. Yep. So, yeah, man. All right, so let's move on to the Sunday slate, right? Sunday slate. because I might be cooking some collard greens tomorrow. So I don't know if I'll be able to come on tomorrow. So anyway, church and collard greens on Sunday. All right, so we start off with the Lakers, and we kick off Sunday slate 3:30. Lakers going to Memphis to play in the Grizzlies. Now the Lakers beat the. Now, let me back up. After starting off 2-10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lakers looked like this team was gonna be, with LeBron shenanigans. He broke the scoring record this year. AD, in and out of the lineup due to various injuries and all that. They traded half a team, as usual at the trading deadline or whatever like that. But through all this, topsy-turvy Donald Duck cartoon, the Lakers were able to find their way in the playoffs by virtue of beating the Minnesota Timberwolves in a 7-8 matchup in overtime. Right? The Memphis Grizzlies, a team who's been, pretty much in the top 3 all year, even with the Ja Morant nonsense. Even with guys like Steven Adams and Brandon Clark going down to injuries and all that. And here we are. So what do we see in this matchup with the Lakers and Grizz?
Well, assuming that officiating will be fair and impartial.
I knew you was gonna say that.
I'm just assuming. I'm gonna tell you something. Without Steven Adams down low for the Memphis Grizzlies, I think he's lost for the year.
Yeah.
I tend to think that AD should now, because you never know with AD, but AD should have a big series against Memphis. He should. I think he'll be big on both sides of the ball. I think he should. I mean, it's hard to put a number on it, but I mean, AD, man, if he really had a motor or like that drive, like Embiid or Giannis, I don't see why he can't put up 30 and 12 against this team on an average. Like, I don't know, but AD has a motor. AD should have a motor in this series. I think he'll be one of the big factors. I see the Lakers probably winning this series.
That's assuming that the officiate is fair and impartial, right?
Well, I mean, I'm trying not to say that, man. But look, anybody listening, basketball is the NBA is a great product, man. But I'm also acutely aware that it's a business and there's ratings. So I'm trying to say things without saying them. The Lakers have a great shot in the upset here. Memphis, outside of Ja Morant, in my opinion, don't have a consistent, like, big time scorer. Yeah, of course, a guy like Bane or sometimes even Brooks or Jackson might go off for 20, 25 points. But he's the only guy that can consistently give you 25 to 30 points every night. And I don't think that the Lakers are going to be able to stop him. But at the end of the day, I just think that the Lakers, who have been playing a lot better on the defensive side of the ball lately, I do think outside of LeBron James, but I think that they've been playing better. And I think, at the end of the day, I think the Lakers are going to win this series, maybe 4-2. I do understand that Memphis has the best home record. They're 35-6. But I saw an interesting stat. And I know you can't go off of past history, but when a LeBron-led team wins the first game of a series, it's almost pretty much a given that they're going to win. I think LeBron has only lost 2 series in his career in the playoffs when they won the first game. The first one was in the 2010 Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics when they won the first game, but they went on losing 6. And the only other series is 2011 NBA Finals when they actually went up when they won the first game. I think they had a 2-1 lead, but they ended up losing that series. That's the only other time. So, like I said, I know you can't go off of history, but I think the Lakers are going to win this series in 6.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I got it. Outside of what we talked about with AD being down low, I think the Lakers. I think the Lakers are pretty lengthy on the wings now, so that could possibly pose problems for John Morant potentially. Not saying that John Morant can't go out there and get his because he can, because he's that dynamic of a player. But they're gonna have to limit that explosiveness from John Morant, and then you have Desmond Bain, right? Desmond Bain, I think, if the Memphis Grizzlies win this series, it's gonna have to be because of Desmond Bain. The Lakers focusing on John Morant. Got AD going against Jaren Jackson Jr. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to get in foul trouble a lot, dealing with Anthony Davis. So with John Morant, with the Lakers defense, and Darvin Ham, Darvin Ham do have guile, right? So,
I was wrong about something too. For some reason, I thought Desmond Bain was averaging 16. He's averaging 21. So I was wrong about they only have one guy averaging 20 points a game. I take that back.
Yeah, Desmond Bain. I really like Desmond Bain. If the Memphis Grizzlies win this series, it's because Desmond Bain is going to have an amazing series. He's going to have to be their X factor. Dillon Brooks, look for all his shenanigans and him out there dating Decepticons and all that, he's not going to stop LeBron. All right, he can sit there and talk that big game hunter shit. You know what I'm saying? He can sit there and talk that, right? But he's not going to stop LeBron, right? And I think that's the only time Dillon Brooks can call himself being the man is on the basketball court, because he sure as hell not a man in his relationship. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, the Lakers are probably going to destroy them.
Oh, hey,
dribble drive penetration. Oh, Town in?
What's up, buddy? Oh shit. Oh damn, he left. Oh, damn. I thought Town was coming in. But anyway, what was we about to say? Oh yeah. Hold on. How about hold on. What was I about to say?
You was talking about how Dillon Brooks is not going to be able to stop LeBron James.
Yeah, Dillon Brooks. Yeah, Dillon Brooks ain't gonna stop LeBron. Yeah, Dillon Brooks ain't gonna stop LeBron. Fuck that, right? And that's that. I just think the Lakers can win in 6. Dillon Brooks, very shot dependent. He can call himself playing D and all that, but he's not gonna stop LeBron. I think the Lakers gonna win the series going away. Then we really gonna cook their asses, man, because they talk all that shit, saying that how they arrived and all that. But you know what? Till you win it, you have not arrived at anything. Next game. Hold on. So the next game will put the Miami Heat, who had a come from behind win against the Chicago Bulls on Friday night. They played the top seed Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks had the best record in all the NBA. Presumptive MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo he's gonna be ready. I think the Bucks sweep this series. Miami might get a game, but I expect the Bucks to win this series going away. The Miami Heat is they're gonna have problems down low, as like me and Ticket talked about last night. They have no answers on the interior, right? Bam is gonna have to resource all his efforts against Giannis. Then if you got that going on, then you got Bobby Porter's getting rebounds. You're gonna have Brook Lopez, who probably might win Defensive Player of the Year, getting rebounds and whatever like that, and blocking shots and controlling the paint, and can shoot threes and all that. And then on the wings, you got Drew Holiday. You can bring a guy like Joe Ingles in off the bench. And then look, the only reason Milwaukee Bucks makes the series competitive because they have lapses and all that, and coaching, right? Because we all know about Mike Budenholzer, his coaching, bro. His coaching is infuriating. But if the Milwaukee Bucks take care of business, they're gonna win this series in a sweep, maybe 5 games. I can't see this series going past 5. And then for this series to even remotely go to 5 games or even past that, that requires Jimmy Butler to have monster performances on a consistent basis. Bam Adebayo cannot perform Houdini-X offensively, right? And then you can have to have outlier performances from a Tyler Hero or a Max Strus, or maybe even Duncan Robinson off the bench or whatever like that. It's going to have, or maybe they even bring in Oladipo. But it's going to take an outlier performance from those guys to supplement Jimmy Butler and or Bam Adebayo, right? Another person we haven't talked about that the Bucks got is Jay Crowder. You know Jay Crowder, he was born the Miami Heat last year, right? Or either last year.
No. It was
2 years ago.
2 years
last
ago.
Year,
Yeah. He was there when they went to the finals.
Right.
In the bubble, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but not much has changed from then to now. So, what do you see the series with the Bucks? Because really not more for me. There's really not much more to explain. The Bucks going to destroy this team, and they're going to be out. They might be the first team out of the playoffs. Go ahead.
Now, not as far as this series is concerned, it doesn't make a difference. Down the stretch, one thing I'm concerned about with the Bucks down the stretch is the health of Chris Middleton, because he hasn't really been himself all year. He missed like the first month or so of the season, maybe a little bit more than that. Then he came back, coming off the bench. Then he kind of re-injured himself. From what I've read, he's still sort of hurt. He's sort of banged up. And he hasn't had a strong year. He's only been averaging 15, 16 points a game, shooting like 41, 42% from the floor, 29% from 3. He's not himself. But that's not going to matter in this series. I have the same sentiment, man. I expect the Bucks to sweep this team. I expect them to sweep this team. Like you said, the only way that they might lose a game or these games might be a little bit more competitive is Mike Budenholzer being stubborn, slow to make adjustments. If the Miami Heat coach puts on a master class as far as strategizing and trying to contain Giannis, but Miami Heat is not the same team defensively that they were last year. I've seen that they're not the same team defensively. Offensively, even though they beat Chicago last night, and that's a whole nother thing, Miami is dead last offensively, 109 points a game. I know that sounds like a lot. This was 20 years ago, but that's nothing in today's era. If the Bucks can just simply play their game, just go out there and play, that should be enough to sweep them. I'm not even talking about I'm talking about just putting their talent out there against Miami's and playing. They should be able to beat them 4-0. But yeah, they got no answers for Giannis. One of the things I noticed about Miami and I think you're gonna really see it against the Bucks. Is Miami is vastly undersized. They're gonna have to do something about that. Making them a bigger team. Bam Adebayo is not going to be able to stop Giannis.
No.
He's not going to be able to stop Giannis. The only thing that's going to probably prevent Giannis from averaging huge astronomical numbers is if these games are blowouts and he's sitting in the fourth quarter. Because I could easily see Giannis averaging like 36, 14, and 7 or something like that in this series. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think they have any answers for Giannis. Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, they don't have Bam Adebayo can't stop Giannis. They can't stop him, and Giannis has improved so much as far as being a passer. They try to double team him, then Drew Holiday's going to kill him. Okay, you even if you try to do that stupid wall, which is really not going to work, then Drew Holiday's going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Drew Holiday going to sit there and bust you for 30 points for himself. Then, we got other guys that can score the basketball. Even though he can't play defense for crap. Man, what's his damn name, man? That plays for the Bucks. White boy, like Michael J. Fox.
Grayson Allen or Pat?
Yeah, Grayson Allen. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. Grayson Allen, man, why am I having a problem remembering the guys' names? Grayson Allen,
Pat Connaughton.
Yeah, Pat Connaughton. They can score. I mean, the Bucks are a very deep team, and as far as guys that can shoot the basketball. So at the end of the day, I think the Bucks have too many weapons offensively on the perimeter. They have Giannis. That's pretty much just going to win. That's the X factor right there. Then, like you said, we got Bobby Portis on the inside. Bobby's he can give you scoring. He's like a Bobby Portis to me is almost like a poor man's Horace Grant at times. You know what I'm saying? He can give you interior scoring, give you 8 to 9, maybe 10 rebounds a night. He can also shoot from outside, which is what big men do today now. Have to be able to hit the shoot from outside, and yeah, I pretty much agree with you, man. I think they're gonna sweep this series. I don't even think they get in the game.
No. No, they're not getting no game. I think the Bucks will destroy this series going away. Miami might get one. They might get one.
They might, man. It's like, yeah. It's gonna have to be one of them games, like you said, on the road when like the Bucks are just doing one of those, to be in one of those situations where they just come out haphazard. That's the only thing I can see. Is like if they come out, we got this team beat, going through the motions, and Miami pounces on them, and if they can have one of them nights where their shots are falling, Jimmy Butler, like you said, is having one of these vintage performances, then maybe they can take one. But I don't know. Yeah.
All right, next series we got the Clippers, 5 seed going to Phoenix playing the 4 seed Suns. A seismic shift was in play when Kevin Durant was acquired from the Brooklyn Nets. That's how Mikal Bridges ended up in Brooklyn, along with some other players. But now you got people proclaiming the Phoenix Suns to be the favorites coming out of the West. And they play a Clippers team that, is the same old song and dance, battling injuries, low management with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Paul George is out right now. Last time I checked, I don't know if he's be able to come back, but for this series, whatever. But he definitely not playing tomorrow. The Phoenix Suns, despite what happened with the owner, when he's out there showing dick pics and creating hostile working environments and all that. hey, do you want to see what my peckerwood looks like? Right?
Mhm.
That type of deal, right? He sold the team. A guy by the name of Matt Ishbia, who played his college ball at Michigan State, and he's the billionaire mortgage investor or something like that, right? He's a billionaire. He's going to take over the team next year. So what does that mean? That means, in my opinion, Monty Williams is on the hot seat. Typically, when you bring a new owner, he's want to bring in his own staff, especially as the previous regime ain't been delivering on the goods. There's been reports about Chris Paul possibly being his last year in Phoenix and all that. Age and attrition is kicking in and whatever like that. They ain't like what they're seeing from him. So you got KD. He's the difference maker. That's why they brought him there. You got a Clippers team with Kawhi Leonard, right? Who's going to be, the leader of that offense or whatever like that. Obviously the leader of the team or whatever like that. So, I got Phoenix winning the series in 6 games, but when you see this dynamic, and then you got Russell Westbrook, you know what I'm saying? For the Clippers. So when you got the series too, Rod?
If the Clippers had Paul George, I would give them a fighting chance to win this series. But at the end of the day, when you have to rely solely on Kawhi Leonard, I mean, they have other scorers. They have other guys that can shoot the basketball, but Kawhi really is their main all-around go-to scorer. Russell Westbrook in his prime was a scorer, but he was never an efficient scorer. And even though with the Clippers, he's been a lot more efficient, shooting 49% from the floor, 36% from three. I know Lakers wish that he was doing this for them when he was playing there. But, he's been playing better. 16 points, 5 rebounds, almost 8 assists. Russ has been playing very well. But, one of the problems that I just see with the Clippers, man, is they can score. They can score. But even though guys like Paul George, who, from last I saw, Paul George has been making some strides, but I don't think he's going to be ready for this series. I don't think he's going to be ready to return to the team for this particular series. Maybe if the Clippers were to advance, which I don't know if they're going to do. But anyway, even though they have Leonard and George, who are known for defense, they're getting older. Kawhi's focusing more as being an offensive player now. So even though the Clippers can score, defensively, they have serious lapses, and at the end of the day, I just think Phoenix is the superior team. When it comes to guard play, even though Chris Paul is not what he once was offensively, I mean, he still is still a very good floor leader, a good floor playmaker, and a floor leader. And it's hard to when you have a healthy Kevin Durant, man, it's just hard to. It's just, you know what I'm saying, man. It's just hard to bet against him, man. And at the end of the day, the combination of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, but now you have a Chris Paul, so it's not just ISO with Durant and another guy. You still have Chris Paul, who you still have to respect his ability to shoot. I know he's not scoring like he once did, but when you have Chris Paul, and what I'm saying, even though they're not the deepest team, Phoenix, but I still think that at the end, there's just too much with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And then you also have DeAndre Ayton. At the end of the day, I just tend to think with Monty Williams, like you said, being on the hot seat, potentially, I just tend to think Phoenix is going to win this series. I think the Clippers' defense is suspect, and they may not have enough firepower some games. Some games, they may be able to score 120 something points, 130 points, some of the Clippers. But then they have other games where if those outside threes aren't falling, and if, you know what I'm saying, outside of that, Kawhi could get you scoring. But other than that, if they don't have a Paul George, where's that scoring going to come from on a consistent basis? And if you don't have a great defense that can get you some stops on the other end, and you having gaps in scoring in this league, you're not going to win a lot of games. So I tend to see it. I love Russ, man. I love Russ. But another thing I got to bring up, man, as much as I love Russ can, he can cost you some games sometimes, but he can have timely, or for them, untimely turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they're going to be pressuring him for that. You know that, especially down the stretch. I can see that happening. Russ is going to have some of them games where he goes 2 of 11. He might have a game like that or two. At the end of the day, I give the Phoenix a 4-2 victory in this series.
Yep, 4-2. That's pretty much where I got it as well. What's up, Logical Raptors fan? Reform Townsend, salute to y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button as y'all come on in. You know what I'm saying? This has been a pretty lengthy stream. But we got one more game left. Woo! Actually, hold on. Yeah, we got one more game left. Last game, Timberwolves coming off a blowout win against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's going to team I think that's going to make the playoffs next year. Watch out for OKC. They made strides under this new coach that they have. They're very young. They're very energetic. And, with SGA and Josh Giddey and Lou Dort, that's going to be a team that's going to make the playoffs next year. Watch out for OKC next year. And they got a bevy of draft picks coming at their disposal, too. So,
yeah, I think I saw 15 total draft picks.
Draft picks coming up. So you got to tip your hat to that GM and their coach, man. OKC is gonna be the team to watch out for and then we ain't even talked about the number 1 overall pick, Chet Holmgren, that's going to be playing next year. We ain't even talked about him, right? So OKC is in a really, 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 really good spot to take that step, right? But that's for the future. We'll talk about that in the future. But now we got the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're going to play the top-seeded Denver Nuggets. Now, this is a series, to me, that the Minnesota Timberwolves can upset the Denver Nuggets. Now, will they go out there?
I agree.
So, if this is a situation where 8 seed can beat a 1 seed, is this series right here. Miami beating Milwaukee, yeah, you got a better chance of winning the lottery, right? Or if you're a dude that happens to be a transformer, getting pregnant. But this series right here with the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, there's a good possibility that the Minnesota Timberwolves can beat the Denver Nuggets in the first round. Now, will they go out there and do it? That remains to be seen, right? We've seen cracks in Denver throughout most of the year. They failed to take care of business against inferior opponents like the Houston Rockets. You lose to the Houston Rockets with Jokic, right? They lose to the Jazz, and Jokic only got held to 6 points in that game. 6 freaking points.
Yeah.
They got very capable roster with Mike Conley, Cat, Kyle Anderson, Rudy Gobert. I think they put their differences aside, you know what I'm saying? Because last Sunday, I know there was Easter Sunday, but it was anything but love shown between Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson, right?
Mm-hmm.
They played good last night, And and before we break down this series, get too raw stuff, I want to touch on Rudy Gobert real quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, for those of you who may not have gotten my take on Rudy Gobert, he is a fucking bum, okay? This dude don't got no offensive game at all. I was at a game when the Timberwolves played the Charlotte Hornets, right? And he don't have an offensive move that he could commit to. He had bad hands. He don't got a drop step, a sky hook, or nothing that he can lay claim to. His offensive game is so suspect. If it ain't him getting rebounds and putback dunks and catching alleys, Rudy Gobert is just a liability on the offensive end. Which means you're going to rely on Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards. Now, Anthony Edwards last night, Anthony Edwards played like trash last night. He was out of control. He was forcing stuff. So I don't know what that was all about, but that Anthony Edwards cannot take that into Denver tomorrow night. He just can't.
No.
If he takes that to Denver, there's no way they win in that series. If that Anthony Edwards goes into the Denver series playing like that, there's no way they win in that series at all.
I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with Anthony Edwards. Like you said last night, he played like trash against the Lakers. He played like sewage doo-doo floating in the sewage water. Yeah, so I mean, I can't help but think that he has nowhere but to go but up at this point. I mean, so like you said, if he plays anything like how he played during the regular season, then the Timberwolves have a really good chance. I was just looking at some numbers. I see Denver is number 1 in the NBA in field goal percentage, and Minnesota's number 2. So there should be a lot of
scoring.
Yeah, a lot of scoring, and I think these it should be pretty efficient scoring too. Right. The problem to me with Denver, and pretty much we've all said this. Denver was, I think, 30. What was their record on the road? at home they were. I think they were 34-7. Huh?
Denver is practically unbeatable at home. I thought they were just like 4 or 5 games all year at home.
Well, they at one point they had the best home record at one point, but in the last month of the season, they lost some games at home. Remember, they got blown out by the Bulls by 20-something at home.
They got blown out by the Bulls at home.
And they lost another game at home. Was it the Clippers? I know they lost another home game. So they finished 34-7 on the road. I mean at home, which ended up being tied for the second best because Memphis has the best home record, 35-6. But this is what alarms me about Denver. They're 19-22 on the road.
Oh, yeah.
That alarms me. I don't know if I can recall the last first seed with a losing record on the road like that. By comparison, the Bucks are 26-15 on the road, which is not bad. I mean, they clearly can show they can win on the road. So when you combine that with the fact that even though Memphis is a really good offensive team as far as shooting the basketball, their pace isn't the fastest, Jokic, and defensively they have problems, and especially in the interior. And they're almost dead last in block shots, and we know why that's the case. Jokic is a historically bad interior defender, and that's where the problem is going to be at. So if I'm Minnesota, man, Cat gonna have to get a lot of. It's gonna have to be a lot of, Karl Anthony Towns in this series. It's gonna have to be a lot of driving to the basket in this series. If I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves and I'm the coaching staff, we're gonna have to test to see how good or how bad defender Jokic is. You know what I'm saying? So I see Anthony Edwards having a better series. Town probably going to average like 27 or something in this series. Even Rudy Gobert, like as awful as he is, they should
And
try to
he is
get him the
awful.
ball. Yeah, he's awful offensively, but I would look to him like as far as like if he could beat Jokic, like just you know, uh, maybe some lobs or just driving to the basket, even if I know I'm not going to make the shot. So maybe Rudy Gobert on the weak side can come over and just dunk. You know what I'm trying to say? Like just take advantage of your size. And at the end of the day, that might be enough to give them the victory over Denver. Maybe. But Denver is definitely vulnerable, man.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I've been saying this for like the better part of the season, whatever, like that. And I was like, look, man, I'm like, this team, I'm like, the Denver, I've been saying it all year. Denver Nuggets are frauds, man. I just don't see this team, really taking that next step. And if you think about over the last 3 years, they made the Western Conference Finals in the bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the next year, they get swept in the second round by the Phoenix Suns. Then the next year, they get beaten by the Golden State Warriors in the first round. So if we see a similar situation play out this year, do we see a situation where Mike Malone gets fired?
You would think so. You would think so. But I have this feeling, man, it's like with Denver, there's no expectations. And that's what frustrates me. It's like, well, we keep hearing about how good Jokic is and, he should win a third MVP and, he's putting up historic numbers. But when it comes to the playoffs and we're looking at that team, we're like, okay, he finally has his guys now because that was the excuse before. Why aren't we talking about this team being you know what I'm saying? Where's that buzz about, okay, now Denver can make their run to the finals? Or is it that they know too that this team is vulnerable? I was actually another thing too. Do you see the possibility of Anthony Edwards containing Jamal Murray?
Mm, possibly, but
Possibly.
then,
Go ahead.
but then again, we know Jamal Murray can explode at any moment.
Right, because I was thinking for them to be able to win this series, Jamal Murray may have to sometimes be the guy. Because even though he's never been an all-star, he sometimes when they went to the Western Conference Finals, in many of those games, he was their best player. He actually led Denver in scoring in the postseason that year in the bubble. So it always infuriates me when people say Jokic don't have no help. I'm like, have you been watching Denver? He has a lot of help.
Obviously, they have. Obviously, those people have not been watching Denver if they've been saying that.
Yeah, they say, oh, this guy don't have no help. Like, what? Well, he's never been an all-star. Well, that don't mean anything. Heck, I mean, it's been a lot of great players who've never been all-stars. Dan Marley's never been an all-star. So that don't mean anything. But at the end of the day, I mean, not that he's on Dan Marley's on his level, but what I'm saying is he was a really good player. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think if they're going to have a shot at winning this series, man, Jamal Murray, to a lesser extent, Michael Porter Jr., they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to step up. They can't just rely on Jokic putting up 30 and 17 and 10. I don't know if he's going to be replicating those type of numbers consistently in this series.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, man. So you got Denver coming out?
I got Denver at 7.
I've been saying all year that the Denver Nuggets are frauds and all that,
Mm-hmm.
And might be the one that's going. I might have to be the one that dies on the hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Minnesota Timberwolves will eliminate the Denver Nuggets.
I hope you're right. I absolutely hope you're right. I hope. You know what, man? I'm gonna tell y'all, Stream. You know what? I'm gonna take a goddamn risk. I'm gonna go against my head and go with my heart. I'm going with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 6. I think they're gonna upset this team.
Yeah, Now, could I be very wrong on this? And could this blow up in my face? Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes
But you know what, though?
you gotta just do it, man.
Yeah, what's life without risk, right?
Right, right.
Can't always
Can't
go
always
with the
be
status quo just because they're the number one seed. Look,
right. I mean, yeah.
I just think that this team could be had. I think the Denver Nuggets could be had. You go off their inability, their losing record on the road, inconsistent
Mm-hmm.
play,
Mm-hmm.
Jokic, propensity for fatigue, right? That's nothing we had factored in yet, right?
Yeah.
Your defense being compromised, right? Another team that could be had on the interior, right? And you
Right.
got two guys that's down there like Cat and Rudy Gobert to a lesser degree who can rebound, block shots, control the rim. I'm just gonna have. You know what? That's a gut feeling. Sometimes you gotta go with your gut. I think Minnesota beats the Denver Nuggets in the first round. So.
Can I add one other thing to that Lakers series? Another point I wanted to make. Another thing that's going to help LA, and we had talked about this behind the scenes. They're going to be almost a week period between games 1 and games 3. It's going to be a 2-day stretch between when games 1 and games 2 is played, and then games 3 is going to be played another 2 days after that. I can't help but think that with a guy like AD who has a history of being banged up and nicks and bruises and old injuries flaring up, and with a guy like LeBron who has a lot of wear and tear, that can't do anything but help them. That type of rest. So I also just want to put that out there too.
Yeah, that can only but help the Lakers, or whatever like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, this is gonna be a really good NBA playoffs, man. This NBA playoffs is gonna be really interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
it. And I want to add one more thing before I close the stream, right? I know that I've said a lot of negative things about the play-in, right? And a lot of this stuff in my heart holds true. But one thing that the play-in has added is a lot of intrigue. And, I heard a guy mention something about this, and I had to go back and reevaluate everything as far as like my take on the play-in tournament and stuff like that. Because remember, when the series, when you had the playoffs all sewn up and all that, a lot of games were meaningless, and people didn't really have an incentive to watch. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But now with this play-in tournament, even though I still think 82 games is enough to decide who's 1 through 8, but it does add a level of intrigue. That way players ain't just sitting out, and you got these teams ain't just taking games away. That's how the Dallas Mavericks got fined $750,000. Because at the end of the day, the NBA is trying to draw ratings and trying to make money for these networks and things like that. Games have a lot of intrigue. They have a lot of meaning. Guys who want to go out there and play to crack them playoff spots or put themselves in position to crack a playoff spot. So I've slightly revised my thoughts on the idea of the play-in tournament or whatever like that. What's your thoughts on the matter?
Initially, I just looked at it as like, oh boy, here we go. More participation trophies for losers. Guys who, in the past didn't qualify for the playoffs. Now you're getting them opportunities to, still have second and third chances. But, it's starting to grow on me a little bit. It's starting to grow on me because it adds. Well, for one thing, now that we have, in the modern day NBA, I guess in the last 20 years or so, it's been a week between the end of the playoffs and the start. I mean, end of the regular season and start of the playoffs. So there hadn't been much to talk about. It was that 1 week lull. But now that you have the play in to fill in that week, it keeps the basketball fan interested and intrigued about what's going to happen going into the playoffs because it's still undetermined. And I guess at the end of the day, it does sort of help, like keep some of the lower seed teams involved in playing. Like before the playing tournament, anybody who picked up the eighth seed that clinched it, the ninth and 10th seeds and further down, they ain't really got no incentive to play no more. They probably could be low managing, starters not playing, but now because the playing tournament, at least as far as fans are concerned, you get an inspired play at the end of the season. Guys trying to fight to get the 10th spot or the 10th spot trying to get the 9th spot or something like that, or even the 8th and 7th, because now from 7 on down, you're not guaranteed to be in the playoffs. So that does add intrigue. So I think over time it'll grow on us. It'll grow on us. And some of these other things that they're proposing now, I don't know. But I think this is one of the better ones now that I look at it.
Yeah. Now, am I a fan to play a tournament? Absolutely not. But I'm just looking at it from, I'm just trying to look at it from an unbiased perspective or whatever like that.
Right.
Whatever. But yeah, man. What's up, talking to Grubby Media? Salute to you, bro. Yeah, man. This was fun, man. I enjoyed doing this 8-game or whatever like that. When we get to the second round, I think we got to do another stream of this time it'll be 4 teams. It'll be 8 teams. So it'll be 4 games or whatever like that. So we got to do another one of these once the first round matchups are complete or whatever, right?
Right.
All right, Turod, what's your final thoughts on all this, man?
I've been looking forward to the playoffs for about a month. I started getting a little bit, I can say bored, but you sort of get like that late season blues, or like, I don't say blues, but blast. Like, okay, now I'm ready for the playoffs. Like, I'm ready to see some games now that really count, because by March going into April, you kind of already know to a certain extent how the important seeds, the big boys, are gonna, how their seeding is going to be. I mean, it might be little minor changes, but we already know who's going to make the playoffs, who's the best teams in the NBA. So, I'm kind of anxious to see the playoffs. So I'm glad that today is here. I just want to see some good basketball. Hope injuries are kept to a minimum. And, we just want to see who is going to be crowned the champion. I have a feeling it's not going to be the Warriors. They have to prove it to me that they can make some miraculous run. But I'm just looking forward to today's basketball and tomorrow.
Yeah. For me, a lot of times when you have these playoff games start off, game ones normally tend to be feel out processes and other and a lot of times it'd be feel out processes and all that, and adjustments that get made for game 2 and game 3. One thing you will see in these playoff games is tighter rotations. You're not going to have the 10th guy that's on the bench coming off and getting minutes. You're going to see tight rotations. You might even see slower pace of play, right? Teams really teams really commit themselves to defensive end, whereas you may not have put that a priority in the regular season or whatever. But at this stage, you go with what brought you to the dance, right? Of course, you have to make adjustments every once in a while, but a core principle of the makeup of your team, you go with what brought you to the dance. Don't try to do anything extra. Don't try to be the hero when you never was, right? Just
Mhm.
play your game, play your style, and let's just see who comes out on top. But let's go! Let's go! I can't wait! You know what I'm saying? This would be great, man. You know what I'm saying?
I just want to say one other thing. And I know a lot of fans is worried about this. I hope that the officials swallow their whistles more so in this point. Yeah, because I don't want to see any situation where they try to take over these games, man. You know what I'm talking about, man. Sometimes they just whistle for everything. I'm like, come on, bro, this is the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I hope that don't happen. Let these guys play. I mean, yeah, you're gonna call fouls, but usually in the playoffs, the officials let the slightly more physical stuff go a little bit. It's the playoffs. Don't blow the whistle for every little nudge. Little bit of contact. You're blowing the whistle every time. I mean, just want to see some good basketball games. That's the only other thing I wanted to say.
I agree, man. I'm right there with you on that one. Uh, hey, man, I thank everybody for watching, man, tuning in. I know this has been a pretty lengthy stream, man, but hey, I enjoyed every last second of it. You know what I'm saying? I thank you to my man Too Raw for TV, my brother from another, for helping me through this stream here. I don't know if I would have got through this stream without him. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure I probably would have persevered without him. But it was good to have my brother on here. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share these videos on your social media platforms. Last but definitely not least, shouts out to the mighty Lions Den basketball community. This your man. Scream at me. Oh!
Peace.